A warm namaste to all our viewers in India. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the viewers all across the world who are watching us today. So let me begin another episode of this show. You may ask me, why this show? It used to be called as the author show. So what happened? So let me explain to you. We decided to expand. No, expand not as in I have expanded in weight, but expand as in the scope of our show. We wanted to include all other art forms in this show, and which meant that authors, writing is an art, dancing is an art, photography is an art, painting is an art. So we wanted to expand the scope and include every artist who wants to come on this show. And that was the reason why we called ourselves the show. Now, coming back to the show. So let me first of all introduce you to the two moderators. I am Sanjay Chandra. I am a published author of 3 books, and my latest book, Behind Closed Doors, was recently published. Then the other moderator, in fact, you'll be seeing more of the other moderator, is Vardhan Dharkar. Vardhan Dharkar.
Namaste.
Namaste, Vardhan. Welcome to the show, Vardhan. It's always a pleasure to see you on this show, and you are looking lovely with all those lovely flamingos behind you. So
thank you.
So Vardhan.
So namaste to both of you.
So thank you so much, Mandira. So let me quickly introduce Vardhan also. Vardhan was a former corporate senior executive. I used to call him Honcho, but senior executive. And now he has decided he has quit his job and he has decided to pursue his other passions. One of the passions, as you might have rightly guessed, is photography. He is also learning Sanskrit so that he can read all the Veds and Granths and everything. He's going to be in a different plane altogether. So he's learning Sanskrit also now. And then he's also a blogger. He wrote quite a few blogs last year, which you can also see on my website under the link guest blogs by Vardhan Dharkar as on different festivals of India. My website is www.authorsanjaychandra.com, all in smalls. So you can see them there. Now coming to the artist of the day, the artist who is featuring on this show today. Now this is none other than let me put the spotlight on the artist, and then I'll talk about her. She is an author. She is Mandira Mazumdar, and she is also someone who was into the teaching profession. She was teaching, and then a few years back she decided to give up all that and decided to work from home. Much before COVID, actually, she decided to work from home. She decided to teach from home, and so that she could pursue her muse, as she says. She could pursue her writings. She has written quite a few trilogies. I will not, I'll not give her detailed background. I mean, I'll let her speak, because once she starts, then she goes on, and she will entertain you like anything. Let me assure you. So she wrote quite a few trilogies, and her another book is in the pipeline. So let me hand you over, Mandira, to Vardhan Dharkar, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Sanjay, for your warm introduction. Namaste to all our viewers in India and outside of India, and welcome Miss Mandira to the show, the second episode of 2024. So let's begin our conversation without wasting too much of time on introductions. And my first question to you is that you are a teacher by profession and English teacher by profession. Teaching itself is a very noble profession, and I think that's something admirable that you are doing. My first question is on that only, is that does teaching help you in your profession or in your writing journey?
Definitely. My teaching helped me in my writing journey in the sense that I developed my language sense. I improved my language sense by teaching the senior secondary students, and particularly when I was teaching the management students at IGNOU, then I was taking phonetics classes, phonology classes, and the science of English language. These classes helped me evolve myself as in my language skill. As a writer, it definitely helped me. And another thing I want to tell you that I became a storyteller from my classroom. I was always a storyteller. I would, reminisce about my childhood days, about the happenings in the interesting anecdotes from my childhood days and my youthful days, and my even those incidents after marriage, or the strange things that I saw while traveling as a traveler, because I'm an avid traveler and I love traveling. So whatever I experienced in life, I spun a story, not a false story, but I definitely gave it an embellishment while I was explaining my students, and that made me a natural storyteller. My students made me a natural storyteller, and my language developed because of my years of experience. I'm grateful to my English teaching for that. Yes.
Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
When I was reading your bio, one of the things that I read is that you started your writing journey by publishing stories in US magazine. So
Yeah.
generally when the people start writing, they start writing in local publications first, and then they go global. While in your case, you have reversed that path by first publishing in US magazine and also getting certificate from them as an author. So, can you please share that experience with us?
Yeah, definitely. I wrote sporadically in some of my writings, I mean, letters to editor, and some of my writings were published in Times of India. But then those are not so significant as in the Ezine, I got the chance to write about, I mean, nowhere else I got found that chance. And I discovered Ezine while I was just, I love, surfing online. And I found their website there. And they gave me the chance. I took the leap of faith and I sent them one of my brief articles, and they published it. Bingo. They published it. And then after that, I went to Kashmir. It was a solo journey for Europe. And my husband was against it, but I went. I wanted to have an experience of Kashmir. It was with, strange travelers. I went. And there I wrote an article, the autumnal phase of Kashmir and Srinagar. I went during autumn. So
Okay.
I wrote the article and sent to Azin. Bingo. Again, that was published. And then there were other articles, my memoirs, my short stories, my experiences I started to share in those articles, and serious articles on women's issues. I started writing not only the traveling blogs, but also on travelogues, but also women's issues, on children's issues, on my classroom issues. And as an Indian teacher, my experience, I started publishing in Ezin, and they also, from there, I got the chance to improve myself again. Like they said, you edit it once again, and I learned what is Amazon or American English, the kind of English that is now accepted by when you are publishing anything. So I got the basic learning or the fundamental learning from them. And after a period in 2016, I wrote from 2013 on different, they gave me different badges of honor, not only. And then in 2017, they gave me an expert author certificate, and which gave me a fillip, gave me a confidence of a kind to start. I had the wish to publish my own writing on my own. that was, I thank Ezine for that. And the motivation I got to publish something and the confidence I got was from Ezine only.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is the story. I learned many things.
Yeah. So are you still continuing with them, or right now there is a pause?
No, in 2018-19, since 2018, 2019, there has been terrible, some kind of, you know, life is always up and down. So I had some personal experience, or I had
Okay.
some personal reason for which I had to leave my job. Not
Okay.
only for the personal reason, but also because I was feeling suffocated in a classroom atmosphere. I could not
Okay.
breathe. I could not, I had to wake up all night to study and then edit my own work and then go late for school. It was not something which did not suit me. I
Mm.
felt claustrophobic. So I left the job and I left Ezine also. And I continued my writing, but I collected my writings in Microsoft Word. I bought a computer and I
Okay.
collected my writing in Microsoft Word Office until in 2020, when the pandemic broke out. There was an outward collapse in the normal. There was chaos outside around me, and there was chaos inside me. So, in order to find my catharsis, in order to calm down myself, I decided on, of course, I should mention that I met Sombatla in Authors Freedom Hub, where I joined there, but he was more into non-fictions. But I wanted to write fiction writing. So I learned something, definitely, I agree, from him. But then I started writing on my own, and then I was still in the Authors Freedom Hub, which gave me the encouragement to write. And my first book was published in 2020. It was my debut, and it was Even Caged Birds Sing. And that's it. And Even Caged Birds Sing, where uh, it was an inspiration from the American writer, and she used to be the official poet, not a writer. She was an official poet of USA, and I was very much influenced by her. She wrote the poem "The Phenomenal Woman." The Phenomenal Woman, and she wrote her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing. So that gave me, I was a girl from 1980s, and my youthful days, university days, were in 1990s. So I felt like a caged bird. So that somehow resonated with me. In my own time, I felt like a caged bird. So I chose the title, Even Caged Birds Sing, even if it is a pandemic. So I wrote that book about three phenomenal women who broke the bastions and who belonged to the 80s and 90s, but they are very dark theme. They were unconventional themes. Once again, I wrote about the challenges they had in their life and how they overcame the challenges. It was written, of course, in a fictional form.
Yeah.
And I must tell you one thing, that the first story, Her Forbidden Love, was she was my Facebook friend and a very good friend of mine. She is Surita Das. She used to be Surita Sengupta before. Now she's Surita Das. And she works with the production company with Mahesh Bhatt. She really liked the first story. She said, Forbidden Love, this story is really, and she came to my house with a bouquet. And
Okay.
I was like overwhelmed. Naturally, I was overwhelmed. I'm a just beginner. I was overwhelmed, and then I thought, I took it as a compliment, but I took it, in a way, I took it in a way that I do have something, maybe something I have in me, and I must improve that. So this
Yeah.
is my story. So
Okay.
2000,
Okay.
yeah,
Very impressive. Your crime thriller, Her Tamed Soul, Her
her
Untamed Soul,
untamed soul.
Untamed Soul, which received very good reviews. you fine edited and republished it as a again subsequently in 2022 as
Ah,
Phoenix.
Phoenix,
So
yes. What
when
is
you
mine?
were doing that fine editing, did your publishers have any hesitation or reservation in republishing a book which was
No,
already
no,
published?
the reservation was in my mind. My publisher
Okay,
said nothing. It was in
okay.
my mind. I mean, I wanted to give it a very precise and concise because many of them, the first part, second part, third part. Her Untamed Soul is a very interesting
Yeah.
subject. Now, it was in 2012, or I don't remember, 2013. I am a regular viewer of Discovery Channel and BBC News. And now I watch all kinds of news channels. And then I was I was watching BBC document on Southeast Asia, particularly on crimes on Indian women. And when
Hmm.
I found it, I saw a 5 minutes clipping on a certain woman. They were showing many women, but a certain woman stood out from the crowd. And she really made me think. I mean, I could not, her memory lingered in my mind. It lingered, and it lingered on until, and I do not know, it was absorbed by my unconscious mind or something. And then, but in 2000, imagine something which I saw in 2012, he blossomed in 2021 when I wrote
Hmm.
her Untamed Soul. I forgot her name, I forgot her face, I fictionalized it, but it is a story of true crime, and it is a saga, and it is multi-layered. Goes beyond genre. It is a dark romance story and also a true crime story. So it was written in three parts. And there are many things about Tamil Nadu politics, many things I said there because I studied on Tamil Nadu
Hmm.
culture. And I wanted to make the book more concise because not many people were interested. So I wanted to be, it is a very entertaining book. Even that was appreciated by Surita. So what I did, they're very dramatic, very entertaining. So but I just removed the chaff
Okay.
and I kept the main thing. I wanted to make it one part so that it
Oh.
is more readable and
Hmm.
accessible to the people. And I
Hmm.
made it Phoenix, something which, Phoenix born from the ashes. The
Okay.
lady born, she's reborn. I
Okay.
mean, that is what my second book, Her Untamed Soul.
So, yes. So, our readers would love if you can read a passage from the book Phoenix.
Phoenix is when there is a gender bias, when you are in a society which puts you down on the basis of your gender, on the basis of your caste and creed and class, where class difference prevails. And everything is so dehumanized because of greed and power. It's a hunger for power. The heroine's father itself is an antisocial, and she rises against her own father because her corrupt father and his associates, the whole system is corrupt, that kind of system, and she's fighting against that system, although at a point of time you will feel that she will be defeated because she's no match for what she is fighting against. Yet there are many good things in our society, there are many positive things in our society which supports her, and she fights her battle legally, not illegally, not through crime, and she fights her battle illegally and she emerges. So my message is that no matter what circumstances, my own life story, if I ever write a memoir, will tell you that I at times lived on edges. And there are many women who do that. It's not only me. The story of a woman does not revolve around me. There are many women, there are many men. So one thing I must tell you, that no matter what circumstances you are in, you should be like a phoenix. You should have the presence of mind use your rational faculty, control your emotions, and find out and think about calmly how to get out, how to breathe out, how to overcome the chaos that is slowly gripping you. Don't be sucked into negativity. No matter what, how big the challenges of life are, you are always bigger. Your inner strength is always bigger than that challenge. And you can do it if you work out your problem in a very intelligent way, taking help of intelligent people and people who mean good in your life. I think so. This is the message. And another message is that I wanted that many people were not happy with my ending. I showed that the girl won in the High Court, but she lost her battle in. No, she won in the district court, but she lost her battle. I brought the real courtroom scenes in the real way, not in a filmy way. So the girl lost her battle in the district court, but she got, in the but in the high, she did not lose. Sorry, she won her battle in the district court because the district court judge was he was truly an upright man who stood for justice. But she lost in the high court because of her influential father, politically involved father, and very influential father with heavy clout. But she did not lose her faith. She challenged her father in the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And she took help of someone. But she challenged her father in the Supreme Court. And she believed that I will definitely win over him. No matter who, I'm fighting against my whole family, my clan, who did generations of crime, ultimately crime even against their own daughter. But I will move to the Supreme Court so she can go to any length. So the novel does not end on a pessimistic note.
Yeah.
She finds love. She finds justice. She finds a way out. That is my message.
Thank you. Very thought-provoking and very sensitive. Thank you. If you can share with our readers about your forthcoming horror book, a first English Gothic fiction with Indian setting, maybe our readers would love to know from you.
Gothic books, right from The Castle of Otranto, Wuthering Heights, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, Dracula, Count Dracula. I think this is known to everyone. I always gorged on Gothic. I read even, since you are interested in Sanskrit, let me tell you, sir, I had a peculiar, subject choice. I had English honors, I had economics, I had psychology and Sanskrit. That was my subject. That was my subject combination. And I read Avigyan Shakuntalam. I read all kinds of Sanskrit, Kumar Sambhavam. And I read, and all these books I read, Raghuvansha. I did not read any religious books. I read these books when I was in college. Then I read Bengali books. I read the first Gothic novels in Bengali. Tagore was the first man who brought the Gothic style. And Michael Madhusudhan Dotto, they brought the Gothic style of writing in their story, Hungry Stones, Khudito Pasha. So I read them. As I read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. As I parallelly read Michael Madhusudhan Das Bhayankari. I read those Gothic style and I was fascinated by the sublime style of Gothic fiction. And I do not know why I wrote. And in my childhood, as I told you, I was like a caged bird. I was brought up in an aristocrat and very conventional family who had conventional beliefs, which clashed with me. So I felt like a cage, but and I saw many contradictions in my own family, which resonated with the Gothic characters in my novel.
Mhm.
So right from my Gothic characters, there are the dark psyche of the human mind. And
Yeah.
sometimes I felt they are glorious. At other times I felt, no, they're very conventional, dark, medieval kind of mindset. I felt that. So later on, when I read more books, modern Gothics, I read, I now, I, in 2021, I visited
Mm.
Orissa.
Mm.
I met tribal girls, deep jungle of Orissa, where I met the tribal
Mm.
girls. And I met the real tribes and I talked to them in Oriya. I know Oriya. I was
Okay.
brought up by an Oriya. So I know. So I talked to them in Oriya. And she also knew, from the Hindi films, she learned somewhat Hindi, some little bit of Hindi. So I saw that one face, as I told you, the face of untamed soul. I saw that face of a girl, fierce and powerful. She was a girl of 10 or 11 years, but she ran, she was wild, and she had penetrating eyes. Again, she stood out of the crowd.
Mm.
I left that place. I just, I took her energy, I absorbed her energy and went home.
Mm.
And I thought about the characters of English Gothic novels. I thought,
Okay.
how should I, since Mexicans write Mexican Gothic stories,
Mm.
why shouldn't South Americans write South American Gothic stories? Everyone, Germans have the Italians write their Gothic tales, although the Gothic fiction is purely English in its origin. So I borrowed the classic Gothic tropes from the English origin, and
Mm.
I thought, how if I make my background India, 1960s India, when Parsis
Mm.
were there, Anglo-Indians were there, post-colonial India, and
Mm.
I put her in a Gothic setting. This lady, I named her Zira because of her, gleaming eyes and a glowing face. So I thought, why shouldn't I accommodate this Indian girl in an Indian setting, but the setting will be at the same time purely
Mm.
European?
Mm.
Because
Mm.
it was the building is the mansion which I'm talking about, the Long's mansion, was built by Edwardian. It was, pre-independent India. The building belonged to
Yeah.
pre-independent India. It belonged to an Englishman. Later on, Charles Long bought that building and started living in that. So I brought a purely European setting, and Charles Long, though he's an Anglo-Indian, he pretends to be a Sahib. He pretends to
Mm.
be a white Sahib, and he behaves like a white colonialist, and he wants to perpetuate the colonial kind of culture. So
Mm.
it is an irony when Zira comes into their family, how she evolves in the family, and she stood as a challenge to Neil Long. But of course, I borrowed from the European, I made the language evocative, like very poetic, like it's very easy language, but it is also very colorful language, like in the Gothic fiction. It
Okay.
is magnificent. So it is full of fear, it is paranormal. I made it Gothic is fiction is paranormal, full of fear. But the fear is just not bodily fear or just a fear, crude kind of fear. It is subtle fear, fear in nature, fear in human nature, the crimes that are committed, the corruption that bred in the building, and the building festered. The building itself becomes a symbol of fear. So I made a novel like that. It is like an epic. I fearful. The orchard symbolizes the crimson vines, crimson, the bloody vines, the
Mm.
creepers. They
Mm.
became fear.
Mm.
It's not just the ghost, not only Zira's ghost that haunts the building after
Mm.
3 decades of oppression
Mm.
and injustice against her.
Mm.
Her ghost visits the place. It's not just Zira's ghost that will paralyze you in fear, but the insanity, the crime that is inside the building.
Mm.
Everything is like my
Mm.
Gothic European theme is
Mm.
it's closely embedded into an
Mm.
Indian story. Indian
Understood.
story of a tribal girl, very
Hmm.
powerful tribal girl.
Hmm.
So it is like a European story, European style, but the European style of writing, because Gothic is European,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it is about fear and horror and terror.
Hmm.
But it is the
Okay.
terror not only, it is also the terror in the mind, the dark recesses of the mind, the psychological fear. So it is also a psychological thriller. I made it a modern Gothic fiction based in India because I'm an Indian author based in India, but I've also shown the European tropes. So I think the Europeans will read my story as an Indian story. How Gothic fiction can also accommodate
Hmm.
an Indian story. It's purely an Indian story with a fierce girl, a fascinating heroine, a challenging heroine, a heroine that will hypnotize you, seduce you, but at the same time terrifying. That kind of thing. So it's a terrifying fear I created.
Very
It's not.
interesting. Very
So
interesting. And I
Gothic,
think
this
all
is,
of
I think, Tagore wrote short stories, but this is, I believe this is the first ever English Gothic novel that I dared to experiment with, giving
us.
it an Indian flavor, an Indian flavor. So India goes global.
Yes. Very interesting.
Yes.
And I think all
And
our
India
readers
should
would
go
love.
global. Let them see that even an Indian author can try and build up a Gothic story,
Yes.
a
Yes.
marvelous,
Absolutely.
fascinating story. And it should be
Absolutely.
modern because the time frame. And there is another, please, do I have time to speak? A
Yeah,
little
Sorry.
please
bit?
go ahead.
Yeah. And
So,
Mandira, very
yes,
quickly, if you would also like to tell us the name of the book.
the name of the book in the beginning, I wrote The Dark Woman because my heroine is a dark woman
Mhm.
from the purple jungles of forests of Kalahandi. So I named it The Dark Woman, but then I later on found that Gothic novel is very, very subtle, very sophisticated. So I gave it the title, The Crimson Vines. I have not finalized it, but the Crimson Vines is more symbolic. Crimson means red. And when Zira enters into the precinct of Long's mansion, and Lily Long drives her into the precinct, she finds herself, she's under a shady creeper and they are all bloody red. So it is a story of passion, forbidden passion, because she falls in love with her husband. So it is a forbidden passion and it is also a tale of blood and gore, crimson vines, and it is like a creeper which creeps into blood and gore. It has crept into the recesses of the building. So Lily Long is scared of the creepers, which Zira is not. So this is, I named the story The Crimson Vines. Another thing I did with the story, I must tell my readers that the timeline is not linear. Like in The Haunting of Hill House in Netflix, which is going on. It's a Gothic horror. It's not a horror, ordinary horror that you see on, movies, which is full of gore and violence. This is also full of gore and violence, but it has deep layers into it. It is a human story of crime and dark psyche. So this, I took inspiration from, although my story is original, not taken from Haunting of Hill House. It's an English Gothic. It was running in Netflix now, and the Mexican Gothic. Both of them running in Netflix. So I made it what I did not make the story linear. I went back and forth, because I'm going to 1967, then I'm going to 1997, then I'm going to 1998. How I managed it, but I left the story arc same. Also, like in film scripts, while Zira is haunting, and there is terrible horror created, terrible horror, as if the entire building, the mind of she's turning the mind of the protagonist insane, mad. So while Zira is haunting, I've kept that entire section in present tense. But when Zira is reminiscing the past, her dark past, I kept it in the past tense. So I used the Gothic tropes, past tense, present. I interspersed it like modern Gothic fiction and made it like an intense drama story. Intense drama. The
So,
immediacy, I brought the immediacy and also the past.
so Mandira,
I
yeah, so Mandira, that is really nice, and we would all love to look forward, and we would love to keep on hearing you, listening to you with all those, expressions on your face. But we are now running out of time, and
I understand.
you are a natural
I'm so
born
sorry that
storyteller. You are a born storyteller. I can tell you that. But like all good things have to come to an end. So we would love to host you once again in future after your book is out. And that was really a wonderful.
my book, sir. It's going to be a new experience. I can promise
Yes,
you that.
yes, 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 yes,
I
yes,
can
yes.
promise you that.
Yeah. Vardhan, thank you so much for a wonderful moderation, and Mandira, it was really wonderful having you with us this evening. And just for our viewers, we are recording this episode, and we will also be sharing it on my YouTube channel, as well as on my website, as well as on various social media platforms, including the Pioneer Book Lovers Club page on Facebook and Instagram. So please do watch that also. And so it was really wonderful to have you all with us. And I
Thank
would
you
like
so much from
yeah,
my core,
I would like to thank Dr. Thomas, Dr. Shankar, and Narendrajit Kaurji, who
everyone.
also were today viewing this episode. So once again, thank you all very much, and please do read Mandira's earlier books. By the time her next book would be out, and then we'll read that also.
My
And
crimson vine.
yeah, okay, wonderful. So thank you all very much. We come to an end of this episode, and with that, we end the show. Narendrajit Kaurji is saying wonderful conversation. Congratulations, Mandira, Sanjay ji, and Vardhan V. Dharkar ji. Thank you, Narendrajit ji, and we
Thank you,
watch out
Narendrajit Kaur.
watch out for the next
Thank you.
notification about the next episode. So thank you all very much. Have a great Sunday evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all.
My honor to both, all of you.
Thank you so much, Shankar ji. Thank you very much.